I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is a special episode of Alter Ego Comics TV, one of our year-in review episodes, and this is our top 10 comic book artists of 2012. Now we realize there are going to be people that have been left off of this list, people that you are crazy about, people that you will gasp and say, well, I can't believe that so-and-so wasn't on the list. These are folks that we think are working hard within the industry, that are putting out quality content, that they're doing consistent content, and some of them are kind of new, some of them are veterans, but this is our list. Deal with it. First on the list, and should be first on everyone's list this year, is Fiona Staples. And she is just killing it on Saga. Everyone just has to admit that the art style on Saga, I mean, not just the characters, but she's doing the hand-drawn lettering for Hazel, and just it's got such a unique look. And really, her style has evolved because I remember we both enjoyed
Mystery Society.
Mystery Society, yes. That she did with Steve Niles, as well as something North 40.
North 40. Yeah.
North 40, yes. I need my cheat sheet. It doesn't have this on it. But with Saga, it's a completely different level of amazing. So Fiona Staples, keep up the awesome work. And one of the really cool things this year is that you don't see artists do a number of consecutive issues, especially if you're talking about folks at Marvel. No offense, but they line up artists for 2 or 3 or 4 issue story arcs, and then they bring in a fill-in artist, and then maybe someone comes back 3 months later. Fiona Staples has done 7 issues of Saga, and she took a 2-month break between 6 and 7 to get caught up, and that was a planned break. That's something that we knew about, that we passed on to our customers. And everyone was absolutely fine with waiting 2 months to have Fiona Staples continue to draw the Saga instead of having someone come in and do a fill-in issue or 2. So she is one of the reasons that I look forward to Saga each and every time it comes out.
And she absolutely should be. I mean, Vaughn has said repeatedly in interviews and stuff is that in some cases he's really intentionally trying to challenge her. I think it's a symbiosis between a great writer and a budding artist. He's pushing her and she's pushing him back. The way... I mean, he was like, oh, let's draw me a spaceship tree. Draw me a crazy sex centipede, and it's amazing. And I think it also says something that a writer who could sell a book based solely on his name because of his quality, said, I would rather not have Saga than have an issue without Fiona. It's a huge endorsement from him. And it's also important to remember that actually a lot of those issues that she did do were oversized. So page count-wise, she's actually closer to 8 or 9 issues out this year.
David Marquez is also on our list, who is the penciler on Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Comics Spider-Man, and a really nice guy. I had a chance to meet him at the San Diego Comic-Con this year, and I was unsure. I should have reversed these two. Let's talk about these two people at the same time, because we've got Sarah Pichelli is next on the list, and she was the penciler on Ultimate Comics Spider-Man before Marquez came on. And I loved Sarah Pichelli's artwork so much that I thought anybody following her is just going to be horrible. And I was wrong. Because David Marquez had a very similar style to Sarah Pichelli, but also made it his own. And he just makes things so fluid and smooth. Fluid and smooth in Ultimate Comics Spider-Man, just like Pichelli did. And Pichelli... as I said, is also on the list, and she did an amazing job on Spider-Man this year, as well as providing covers for Avengers vs. X-Men and some of the variant stuff that Marvel had going on. The way that she draws Ultimate Comics Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and his cast of supporting characters is just outstanding, and it's so different from what Mark Bagley did when he was drawing Ultimate Spider-Man years ago. So it's fresh, it's new. They're both kind of up-and-coming artists, and I look forward to everything that they do.
Next up on our list of top artists, sound like I'm doing a radio countdown. Next up on our top 40, Greg Capullo. He's mostly known, obviously, for his work on the awesome, amazing Batman, previously known largely for being Todd McFarlane's protege on Spawn and drawing and inking there. Greg Capullo is really solid. He manages to take that kind of classic 90s feel and update it and make it really work in a modern comic. And there's not a lot of people that can do that. I'm looking at you, Rob Liefeld. But Capullo's Batman is a book that not only reads well, but looks good every month. It looks well as well.
And he has basically I don't want to say reinvented the look of Batman, but there's definitely a different look to Bruce, to Batman, to the supporting cast. In the first story arc, in the Court of the Owls story arc, when he's in that maze and has half of his mask on, and just, I mean, and then they did that issue where you had to like flip it over and keep following it. Just, he's doing amazing stuff, amazing work over on Batman, and I can't wait to see where he goes next. I mean, I want him to stay at Batman, but I'm sure he'll do something else at some point. But he's really come into his own and made a name for himself as part of the Batman creative team.
And Snyder doesn't make it easy on him either. He likes architecture, and he has weird structures and stuff. It's not just Bruce's look. The whole feel of Gotham looks different when Greg Capullo draws it. And it's very appealing.
And everyone on this list, comics are a visual medium. You know, it's not like reading a novel. It's not like watching a television show or just looking at a picture book. It's the blending of words and pictures. It's using your right brain and your left brain. And everyone on this list complements whoever they're working with on the writing side, and they're making a package that can be enjoyed as a complete comic book package, where you're not going to walk away and go, oh, I love the writing on that, but the art, or I love the art on that, but I wasn't crazy about the writing. They're complementing every writer that they're working with and improving the comic book industry by doing so. Amanda Conner is next on our list, and she is doing an amazing job on Before Watchmen, Silk Spectre with the art, but she's also co-writing it. She's done a couple other things at DC, the Amikami Girls, the first issue of that. She did Wonder Woman. She's been providing covers. And she's another one that can find work at different publishers doing different things, and she can kind of write her own ticket. You know? She was doing Power Girl for a while. And the way that it's rare to find, I don't know if I'm going to get stuff thrown at me for this or not, but you know, it's rare to find a female comic book artist who is drawing females in comics, and they're realistic portrayals of women. You know, a lot of times, especially in the '90s. I'm looking at you again, Rob Liefeld. You know, we had just crazy, overblown body proportions on female characters, and Amanda Conner brings that female perspective to the characters that she draws, whether they're women or men. And it's very clean. It's just such a joy to look at her artwork. And coincidentally, DC Comics did just release a collection of Amanda Conner's comics / artwork, which should be available at your local comic book store. I believe it's called The Art of Amanda Conner. There is, I believe, also a version over at Image Comics, which does not include the DC stuff, and you know, even doing something like The Pro, which you know is just a crazy book.
About a sex superhero.
Think basically. About the word pro, yes. And she just killed it on that, too. So I'm looking for, I mean, she's been in this industry for a while, one of the veterans on the list. And again, I will look at anything that she draws. It's great. Chris Samnee, next. I don't know if it's Samnee or Samnee, so please tweet me or send me an email, Mr. Samnee, and let me know how to pronounce your last name, because every time I do it, I feel like an idiot. But Chris Samnee makes the list this year. He did some great stuff on Ultimate Comics Spider-Man. He is currently on Daredevil. He did a 4-issue miniseries with Mark Waid for The Rocketeer, and his stuff is just so good. I do follow you on Twitter, sir, and every time you tweet out that you have a piece of original art for sale, I just go and look at it and try and count my shekels and to buy your artwork, because it is so good. It's a combination of kind of noir plus contemporary stuff. He did work on Captain America and Bucky, so he's doing stuff at Marvel. He's doing stuff at IDW. He's got his own stuff going on. And I highly recommend, if you have not seen any of Chris Samnee's artwork, you seek it out somewhere, whether it's on the internet or at your local comic book store. Write him a letter. I don't know, but you need to see this stuff. And I'm not sure, he's doing Daredevil. I'm not sure what's going on next, but I will. Everyone on this list is someone that I will gladly follow wherever they end up. And Chris Samnee has made 2012 a great year for reading comics and looking at them. Sorry.
Next year. Next, we've got up Nicola Scott this year, primarily working on Earth 2, and that's actually part of the reason they made the list. That's a guy, right?
It's a she.
It's a she?
Yes.
All right, Nicola, I'll take it. Part of the reason she made the list, because that's not an easy job. Anytime you have to do a relaunch that's considerable. I mean, I guess Batman and Green Lantern didn't see a lot of change, but New 52 Earth 2 is a change. Basically, the whole Justice Society is being rewritten from the ground up, and with that, she's introducing us these new looks to these classic characters and doing a bang-up job. The costume designs, the layouts, the way. This is a James Robinson story, which is always sort of more about dialogue and emotion than some other comic writers are, and she's definitely managed to convey that in a meaningful way. You know, some of the page layouts, the way she set some of the scenes with Alan Scott, it's really compelling stuff, and I like to see that, you know, with characters from the JSA who I'm used to seeing drawn in a, let's say, less modern fashion. You know, we've got books on these guys going back 60, 70 years, and to see them kind of brought to new life by an upcoming artist is just really fun and exciting.
And she can draw great action scenes. That's one of the things I really like about Earth 2, is it does blend some great dialogue and character development with great action. I mean, the stuff that I fell in love with as a kid, as a 10 or 11-year-old reading comics, I mean, I didn't care about the dialogue. I wanted to see cool action superhero stuff, and Nicholas Scott does that in spades in Earth 2. Next up, we've got Gary Frank, industry veteran, who has been around for a while and has two high-profile things that came out in 2012. The first up is Batman Earth 1, the original graphic novel written by Geoff Johns, and this thing was awesome. Not just the writing; it's a reinterpretation of Batman's origin, and you know, the timing was right with The Dark Knight Rises being out for it to be successful. But Frank really brought his A game to this. You know, we've seen him do a variety of things. He had a pretty memorable run on Action Comics. Has done some Superman stuff, and where he really tries to make Superman look like Christopher Reeve with varying degrees of success. But his Earth 1, because this is, you know, Batman not modeled after any particular person, after a particular actor, and he had to basically, along with Geoff Johns, give us a new version of Alfred that we've never seen before. Which was awesome. Batman Earth 1 was just the perfect mixture of writing and art, and I don't think it would have been as good as it is without Gary Frank doing that. He's also working with Geoff Johns doing the Shazam backup stories in Justice League and giving us a completely new version of Billy Batson and Shazam and the Marvel family, which everyone is enjoying. Every customer that is reading it is looking forward to it as much as they're looking forward to the front content of Justice League. So well done, Mr. Frank, for continuing to give us amazing-looking comics in 2012. You want me to take this one?
Yeah, you got this one.
I keep sticking Josh with the names that could be men or women. This next one is Andrea Sorrentino, and I know for a fact that it is a man. It's a man, baby.
This is our new game show.
Yes.
Guess the gender.
He is the penciler on iVampire, and I had never seen anything by this guy prior to iVampire with the New 52. And it looks a little bit, or maybe a lot of it, like Jay Lee, but it's also his own thing, and it makes iVampire one of the most visually unique comic books on the stands today. There is nothing out there that looks like iVampire does. And again, it's the reason. One of the reasons I read iVampire is to see Sorrentino's artwork. I love the story by Joshua Hale Fialkov, but who is also a man. But
Joshua, I should hope so.
The artwork, yes, Joshua. The artwork by Sorrentino complements it perfectly and makes it a must buy every time iVampire comes out. As I said, I'm not familiar with anything that he's done before. I don't think he's doing anything right now other than iVampire, so that is the only place you will find Sorrentino's work. Go get it.
And finally, closing up our list, we have Ivan Rice, or Ivana. No, Ivan Rice.
I think it's Reese.
Is it Reese?
It's E before I.
Well, it depends if you're German or not.
All right.
Ivan, who is probably... The thing I like about Rice is he's a comic book artist. Like, I mean, there's a lot of artists that do a lot of different things, but he has a great feel. It just feels like classic comics. You know, when he's doing stuff like Blackest Night, when he draws Hal Jordan, you know, flying, bringing it up in space and stuff, it just is a very robust, a very superhero quality to the work. It almost pops off the page, and he's definitely brought that to Aquaman. Aquaman has been amazing, written by Geoff Johns and the New 52, but the Rice has been definitely bringing something to it. You know, he saw very little change visually. It looks just like the same Arthur Curry, but he somehow managed to make that weird orange costume look cool and dynamic. And there's definitely been really cool things with Mira, and Underwater's not really a plethora of backgrounds you can draw. There's little bubbles and darkness, and somehow he managed to convey the depth and the pressure, and it was just a very atmospheric feeling superhero book.
Yeah, I firmly believe that Aquaman would not have been as successful as a New 52 title without Ivan Reis on artwork. Johns definitely is writing some great Aquaman stuff, but the visual needs to go with it, and he's the perfect guy to do that. So unfortunately, he is leaving Aquaman, but he is going over to Justice League to work with Jeff Johns and to take over for the departing Jim Lee, who is moving over to Man of Steel to work with Scott Snyder on a Superman book, which is 2013 is just going to be crazy. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this. This is the first time that we've put together a top 10 list, and hopefully, if you so demand it, we will do it again next year. So if we left off some artists that you wanted to see on this list, if there are people that you think we should check out, please share that with us, and thank you for watching.